Queen Camilla once fought off a would-be attacker with a shoe when she was a teenager. This is all part of a new book. It's by royal correspondent Valentine Low, who says Queen Camilla told former Prime Minister Boris Johnson about the altercation with a man on a train that happened when she was about 16. Her Majesty reportedly said that she took off her shoe and, I quote, whacked him in the nuts because that's what her mother had told her to do. She then got off the train, she found the guards, they called the police and they did arrest him. But would many 16-year-olds know how to defend themselves? Do you think it's something that we should all be taught at school? Let's start with you, Kevin. What do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, we've got to tackle the issue of male violence against women and girls.
Yes.
And, most women I know have a story to tell of their own. So I think that if we tackle that first, but I think secondly, I think how to handle the situation is probably better than learning kung fu or karate, because not everyone can fight back in that
but
way.
What do you think of that? I mean, to me, anyway, excellent advice from Camilla's mother. Take off your shoe and whack them where it hurts. I mean, to me, that sounds... we're all wearing shoes. She's always going to have a shoe. She's always going to be able to take it off. You know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
You do that better than not doing that, or you don't think so?
If you can do that, what happens if your attacker is armed? What happens if your attacker is a
wearing
burly
trainers?
person who won't be deterred in that way? I might not intervene on fare dodging, but if I see a woman being harassed or abused, I always intervene then. But you could be on your own as a woman, and that ain't going to help you. I think, yes, nice, kids learn all, football, netball, whatever at school, teach them some self-defence, but I think it's not really the answer. Actually.
What do you think, Anna?
Every night I do a show and I go home at about 10 o'clock and I consistently hold my keys between my knuckles. Yeah. I do that and I'm telling my daughters to do that, but I now have a stepson. Am I telling him that? No. Am I educating him on how to keep himself safe? No. But my 4 girls, I am. And I think there is a responsibility to counter male violence by going, right, temporary maybe measure, self-defence in schools. But what you came to and said earlier, in Iceland, what they're doing at the moment is countering sort of the gender norms by going, girls raise them chucking logs, boys raise them caring, EQ, empathy, understanding, to counter kind of, I think, where the problem starts. But yeah, like I said, it's great that Camilla's mum said use your stiletto, but none of my mates are wearing stilettos. We're wearing trainers, and if I am walking back in the dark and I can't find my keys quickly enough, do you know what? I would really like to know how to handle the situation without these bits in my bags or a shoe on my foot.
Yes, and what about you, Claire?
I think the reality is it's all very well to treat people and teach them self-defence, put people over your shoulders, trip them up, whatever, as if it's something from a movie. However, I think at the time, fright or flight will take in, the adrenaline will kick in. Will you actually know how to do it? I think it's an essential skill. It's a very useful tool. But people are tracking their kids' phones so they know when they're coming home, so we know where they are. I think pepper spray and holding keys is a really, really good thing. And I've got 3 girls and 1 boy. And you're right, I didn't do it for my son. Okay, he's stocky, he's a big boy, he doesn't necessarily need that, and boys tend to stay together, whereas girls sometimes can get removed from the group and left alone.
There's also a lot of violence against young men, and they call it casual violence, just being picked on, bullied, attacked, noses broken, and so on as well.
Let's discuss this with an expert, because we're joined now by security specialist and author Will Geddes. Will, so good to have you on the programme today. What do you think of this? We've heard this story now about Queen Camilla. Her mum said, take your shoe off and whack them in the ghoulies. That's what she did. Do you think we need to formalise it? Do we need to teach children self-defence?
Thanks for having me on the show, Vanessa. Yeah, I think fundamentally, yes, it's a survival skill. And I think both girls and boys need to learn it. Kevin raised a very good point about young men being targeted. And actually, between the years of 18 and 35, they're 5 times more likely to be attacked than, say, a woman is. But having said that, here in the UK, about 1 million reported sexual crimes against women are actually gathered. Now, when one bears in mind that 90% of sexual crimes go unreported, you can almost immediately double that figure. But to cover a couple of quick points for you, Vanessa, I think what Jane and Claire both said. Firstly, Claire, don't use pepper gas. That's illegal in this country, and you'll get done with a Section 5 firearms offence. And Jane, for you,
yes.
holding your keys between your fingers, you're more likely to lacerate the inside of your hand if you were using it.
All right, what should we do, Will? What should we do?
Well, I'd far rather suggest that you buy a portable little handbag size sort of aerosol of hairspray. That is going to be as effective, Claire, as pepper gas in many regards.
Do you know what's interesting in that is actually I was thinking about the stiletto example.
Yeah.
I wear trainers now so I can run and run away.
Yeah.
So the irony of actually saying, use your shoes in that sense. Yeah. I'm actually changing my footwear. Like these are heels, but they're running heels. Like I can run if I need to.
Will, tell me about, is Will Geddes still there? Because I want to ask him another question. Will, tell me about the power of the voice, because one of the things that I've been told is you shout as loudly as you can. It gives your assailant a fright. If you're lucky, someone might hear you. Is that a thing to do? Is that something that you would teach?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's what you shout that's really important. So a lot of people talk about shouting rape or shouting fire. The best thing you can shout is help me. Now, help me is so ambiguous that anybody within earshot is going to be curious enough to want to respond. Now, imagine, ladies, if you were hearing the shouting of rape coming from a dark alleyway, would you run down there? I doubt it. If you immediately eliminate 50% of potential passers-by that are going to come and assist you. So shouting help me is probably one of the best things you can.
All right, thank you, Will, very much indeed. Let's go to Ivy in Perthshire. What do you think, Ivy? Should they teach self-defence in schools?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I think they may have to, really. I'm in my 80s now, and I'm of an age with Camilla. And my mother taught me, she gave me a pin if I was going to the pictures, because it was well known there were people sat beside you in the pictures that would do all sorts of things, and you'd just hit them with the pin. And in the back of their hand, as their hand
use
went
it
onto your leg.
Did you use it,
Yes.
Ivy?
Yeah. And I taught my young sister how to do it as well.
Really? I mean, I know that my late mother said that she was in a cinema, exactly what Ivy said happened. And my mother said she was so terrified. She sat completely still. She was just paralysed. She just sat because she was terrified. And she sat there until I think the film ended or the interval. Then she got up. But she didn't dare. If she'd had a pin, she could have jabbed the fellow in the hand, couldn't she? I don't think that's an altogether ridiculous idea at all, Ivy. In fact, it's a good one, isn't it? Thank you very much. Let's talk to Sally in Devon. Sally, what do you think?
I think teaching people self-defence is quite a good idea, but they always used to say that running away was the best self-defence, but there's some times you can't run away. I was on a train and a man was putting his hand on my knee and working my way up, and I used advice I got from the late Baroness Trumpington, who I met at the dairy event.
Yes, what was it?
And someone was talking to her and said, "Oh, this has happened to her." And she said, "Oh, my dear, you don't have to put up with that. What you do is you catch hold of her hand, you pull it up straight away, and you say, 'Whose dirty little hand is this?' And it works."